Man, our first official episode.
Yeah.
Or is this like the episode before the episode?
I think we'll call this the episode before the episode. This is like before you listen, like, why am I here? What am I getting into?
What am I getting into, Brad? I don't even know, man. Because we know that we don't want to have a podcast, but we got
So it's not a podcast.
But we're on you found us through a podcast streaming service. So
yeah,
it's a not so podcast.
Yeah. So why don't we start with what is Campfire?
Yeah. The Campfire Conversations.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think about it, and I mean, some of the best conversations have happened over a campfire, over a beer, over a coffee. And when you bring people together to connect, people start asking questions, and they lead into better discussions and discoveries. And I think when you put people in a neutral space, people stop making statements where the conversation ends. And so we found, though, that coming up with questions that truly matter are tough. So we made 52 cards for companies, but really anybody to do. And these are probably what a lot of people are familiar with, that they're intended to get the conversation started. But these are lessons I've learned along the way. These are the things that if you ask these questions and dive deep, you'll be better afterwards. And you'll get to intentionally know somebody. So we named it Campfire Conversations because that's where people find themselves comfortable to talk. But I also believe that every once in a while, when you're going to the summit, you got to take a break and just enjoy the moment. And so this is a break from the chaos.
Yeah, I think, for years, I have found that, when you're coming to an event, a conference, it's those conversations that happen outside of the official rooms, right?
Yeah.
Where the real value is. And, I think the goal of this is to capture that value, right? Like, how do you, whether it's even just somebody being able to be a fly on the wall for some of that wisdom that's shared, or, I think we have some hope that people will be able to, there'll be some interaction with the audience. This is not just a watch. This is a participate as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If anybody hears something that resonates and they've got a story they can experience, share, we want you to jump on, because your story might be the preparation for somebody else's potential. And or if you want to be coached through something, clear the fog. And, I created these cards, so I've done a lot of research behind them, and I have resources. And so if any of these questions are hard when we come across them for you to answer, let's jump on and let's challenge one another. And so this is going to be a workshop in a sense. Maybe that's what it is. It's not a podcast. It's a workshop where we're just constantly working on ourselves and others. And so really looking forward to it. And exactly what happened actually last night when we thought we were going to be recording our first, but not first recording, was we just busted the cards out in a group full of people. And I don't think we'll ever end up airing any of that. It was great, but they're broke up into different colors and categories. So the thought is 52 weeks in a year, 52 cards. You just grab a card. That's what you and your team focus on, or you or whoever it is. But that wouldn't be good enough to just focus on one thing, because if you bounce from subject to subject, you can't create a habit or routine. And so we broke it up into leadership, if you feel like that's where you want to excel this quarter, team and culture. We've got execution, accountability, and then vision and focus. And we've got a couple cards kind of explaining what it is, but there's some cards that have some QR codes that I think deserves just a deeper dive. You can scan it. And so you can shuffle these up and just grab a card. Or if you feel like your team's lacking focus, just grab it out of there. And so what we did last night that I thought was kind of interesting, I didn't anticipate it. I'll shuffle these for us, is we just asked the team or the group yesterday to just grab a card and have them answer it. So,
all right. So what is one part of our business that is ready to grow? And as a follow-up, what would help it get there? Are we doing this?
Yeah, because we can't air what we recorded yesterday.
We can.
Well, maybe. If y'all are good to us, like, subscribe, and everything in between, we'll post those. But yeah, let's do it real quick.
What is one part of our business that is ready to grow? Well, I mean, so our construction business is new, so everything has to be ready to grow. We're really starting at ground zero. Oh, man, I think we're at a stage that the reality is that we can't be ready. We just have to jump into it and be kind of willing to ride out the storm. I think that's just the reality of it. We can only be as prepared as we can. We're at a chicken or egg moment, and we just have to fight and kind of let that unfold as it does.
Yeah, Chris Robinson says the only way you're going to get any answers is to create action, and it will tell you your next step. And I know your business pretty well, and you're in the startup, so revenue is critical. I think a lot of people focus on leadership and the brand and everything like that. When you're starting up, you just got to create some traction. You got to get some reps. You just got to see what you like, you don't like, how relevant you are. And so you're right. There's a lot of areas to grow, and then you find one stick. It says, what would help it get there, though? And that's the critical point, is always ask the second question.
Yeah.
So what would help you get there?
For us, we are laser focused right now on, we set a target of getting to a $3 million backlog.
Okay, great.
And that's what kind of unlocks all the next things that we want to do, right? We're privileged to be in a place where we know a lot of the next steps, but knowing them is somewhat irrelevant without that backlog. So for us, that is relationships with general contractors. So relationships with them, relationships with the people designing the projects, and relationships with decision makers at schools and parks and rec departments. So for us, it's knocking on doors, doing lunch and learns, building those relationships that unlock that backlog.
So if I were to repeat that back, what would help you get there is prioritizing that time intentionally. Is that?
Yeah.
Because you know how to build relationships, but making sure that you're spending the time doing it consistently is critical. Because
the action and making sure that whatever we set as that metric every week, how many people do we need to be in contact with? How many bids do we need to get out this week? How much follow-up do we need to do? Making sure that we're measuring that and holding each other accountable to it.
I like that. When I heard this card, and we'll do another one, I'll pull it and start. I wrote this card, intention to answer it exactly how it was written. What is one part of our business that is ready to grow? And I wrote it anticipating our service department or whatever else. And when you read it, I instantly thought, easy, people. Our people are ready to grow. When you determine that you're the student, or when you decide you're the student, the teacher will appear. And our business has a ton of students. They're ready. They're eager. They are ready to learn. They're ready to be a good steward of the information and pass it on. And so what would help it get there? And we actually created these bracelets called Focus, and we want everyone to focus on one thing, and that's their personal growth plan. And so what would help us get there is to develop a plan and practice the plan. And so I wrote this card, and I had no idea that that's what it meant to us. And that's the kind of cool part about the card is it will have a different meaning next year. But right now, what is one part of the business ready to grow? We are ready to grow as people. And goals are not as important, because if we grow the people, we'll grow past the goals. So what would help us get there is to commit to a growth plan.
Robert, I want to kind of chime in a little bit of feedback on the cards. The conversation around them is so important. And so last night when we went around, the thing we may or may not ever see light of day, right? Someone would read a card, and sometimes I would hear the card and be like, ooh, I want to answer that one. Sometimes I would hear it and be like, man, I'm glad I'm not the one drawing that card. I don't know how I would answer that on the spot. But then one or two or three people would chime in on the topic, and the conversation would happen, and all of a sudden the things would click in my brain. I'm like, I know what I would want to say about that. I know how I might want to chat about it. And everybody responds to questions and topics differently. But a lot of times, I know just for me, and so this is just, take it for whatever, is the conversation is so helpful in getting perspective and context and how these questions might be helpful.
Yeah, no, that's good. And we hope to share a lot of that conversation in the form of an experience share. I've got tons of stories about Dakota and how we just never could. It was painful. We'd always hit our goal, but it was always painful. It was always friction. What we realized is I was outgrowing Dakota, and so my influence lacked. And so I met him where he was, tried to understand why or what his intentions were in school and in a lot of other environments. That you hit your goals, you hit your KPIs, you check the box, you're a great employee, and it's hard to measure growth, like internal growth. And so we ended up doing a mastermind together, and I can't turn it off now. He's on fire, and so. So I hope to share experiences like that. He'd been with me for 4 years as my number 2. And I said, I don't want to have to make you a number 3, but I need somebody to grow with us. And so what I thought was interesting last night that really stood out was the conversations in the episode 1 that won't air were a little quieter than the ones in episode 2 that also won't air. And people started getting comfortable with each other, and they started thinking and stretching. And so that's why we want to do 52 of these, is because we know that sometimes it's not going to happen in one episode. It might require multiple episodes. And I do want to, there's a Henry who's 25 years old. He was the first person to grab a card. He read it and said, what are you most proud of right now in your business? And to the average business owner, you can think of something. And he couldn't answer. I said, well, you're going to need to take it to do. And as people started talking, he felt more comfortable. And he picked that car back up, and he was determined to do it. And he answered it differently than I think he would have before. And I pulled him aside. I said, were you trying to impress us? And that's why you couldn't answer it? And he said, yeah, I couldn't think of anything that would be impressive to any of y'all. I said, buddy, that card was for you, not for us. When you focus on impact, not impressing, it's totally different. And he landed the plane beautifully. And so these cards are not to impress the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
So anyways, really looking forward to it. I guess I got to pick a card, and we'll do this real quick. And
I'm not as good of a card mechanic here. So.
yeah. I don't remember what the colors are, but this looks like a good one. Oh, I feel like every card I end up picking up was intended for me. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Roosevelt. How have you shown you care this week? So, and this is one with the QR code. So I go into a little bit further depth on this, describing that, we talk about, hey, we need to communicate more. And the reality is we need to connect more. And sometimes connection is nonverbal. Sometimes connection is putting people in different rooms. You don't have to necessarily carry that weight. And what I thought is interesting is that the people this week knew everyone cared about them, and they were outside the organization. There was the Dustins that knew he had a friend outside of Nebraska. And so I've seen a lot of people light up and say, man, people care about me so much, they're willing to share me with others and open doors for me, and then allow me to continue to open for others. And so I just think about this, and I just think about, we intentionally went to breakfast this morning with Dakota and Crystal. And when you live in an environment of influence, people are constantly texting you, calling you, hey, what are we doing? And I tend to get a group of 12 or 15 people, and I look up, and the people I cherish the most aren't even sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, Dakota and Crystal, love to take you all to breakfast. Who else is coming? I said, it's our time. And we just connected and just told them how much I appreciate it. And they couldn't wait to tell me how much they appreciate me, but that wasn't what I was there for. And so we had an opportunity to unpack. And the thing that stood out this trip specifically, and I got to deliver it to Dakota today, was he brought his notes from Stephen Covey a year ago because he wanted to see how far he grew. And that was so cool. And so I got to honor him today. And so I hope that they knew that I care a lot. they know at this point most of the information I have because I share it. So caring is a connection point. So people don't know how much you, people don't care how much you know until you show them how much you care. How have you shown people this week?
I have had the privilege. So we're in Nebraska out here. I guess most people will know what the background is. Maybe. I've come out here for several years, and it's made a really big impact on me for a number of different reasons. So it was really important. It's been important. It's on my kind of to-do list for the past few months to get the guy that's actually holding the camera right now.
He's good
out here.
He hasn't budged one.
No, I think he is just it's a freaking statue.
Yeah.
And that's not his job to hold the camera. He's just the kind of guy that doesn't mind. To get him out here and let him soak some of this special sauce up, because bless him, he trusts my vision. But what we don't have a lot of yet is results. There's a lot of track record. And coming out here and seeing kind of what we're following in the wake of, it's real. You know, where it's many steps down the road ahead of what we're doing, but it's real. So I hope he takes it like that it's important that I want him to catch that vision and see some of the results that we're still chasing after. So.
Yeah, for sure. He was the guy that took my breath away yesterday on the second time we pulled these cards out. And since y'all are architecting your desired future, he gets to be part of that. And the card came up, hey, what's a rule we need to get rid of or go back to depending on where you're at? And he said, well, we don't really have any real rules because we're just not getting started. He said, but I feel like if we focus on trusting one another, I don't think we're going to need many rules. And it's so true. All things move faster with trust, and typically gets a higher return, whatever that is, money or time or whatever else. And so I got to thinking, in reality, if you open up the policy and procedure book and says the only rule we have is to trust one another and to be trustworthy and extend trust, I don't think you need to really have much more than that. And so he took my breath away the way he was able to articulate that. And y'all are going to do incredible things off each other's backs and stand on the shoulders of giants. So I can't wait to see. So that was really cool. And Travis wasn't there for the first recording because he was engaging with other people down there. So it's so cool.
Yeah, Robert, I think, we talk about experience shares and all that and what would make an impact. The thing that I have experienced and seen is that as business owner and entrepreneurs, I like to plug in, you like to plug in. We get exposed to so much, so many cool people, so many great conversations in rooms. I've been blessed to be the fly on the wall of a lot of great things, a lot of rooms I probably don't have any business being in. And I always go back and I tell the people I'm working with, hey, I heard this. Hey, I saw this. Hey, this was so cool. But I know that's nothing compared to getting the chance to experience it. And I think the thing is, and I've seen this, I've gotten to see this a couple of times. I brought, my dad's joined the business with us, and I brought him out here a few weeks ago for the training. And he's been hearing about all this stuff for a while. And I know secretly he's, like, yeah. But getting exposed to it, bringing the people that are signing up, who are believing in what you're doing, bringing them along and letting them get the firsthand exposure, not your secondhand, not the excitement you bring back, but that firsthand exposure. We got in the car to leave here, and he said, all that trust and culture stuff, he said, it's not just lip service, is it?
No, that's good. You gotta see it modeled before you can model it, right?
And I know you do a good job of that. That I've seen. We've been at many events together now. Is that you are investing in your people and making sure they're getting exposed to the same thing that you are. they're alongside you. And I know that just, so I guess, I mean, without trying to give advice, but I've seen how impactful that is. And I mean, I think that would be the big takeaway is make that investment and let your people be exposed to the same things that you are.
100%. And if you're just not in a position to do it because you've got people have got to run the business or their personal lives don't allow them to travel or whatever the case is, be cautious that sometimes we have a tendency to come home from these things like a fire hose. And the little that we truly retain each time we go to these things, I mean, it's unbelievable how little we actually get. That's why you have to do things in repetition. So you got to be patient with the people that are receiving it third hand, fourth hand, whatever it is. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Anytime you can do it. Now, what I did recognize to kind of wrap all this up is all things move faster and probably lead to a better connection in smaller groups. And so I've seen the opposite where people bring their whole team with no agenda, and they can't really lean in. And so you got to understand what environment I'm going to and what was so like the connection you and your dad had might have been watered down had it been the whole team. And being able to do this is probably a different outcome than what it would have looked like if it would have brought 8 people. And so I think it's really important to know the space, the purpose of the event, and what question you're trying to answer. And why you're going to go there. What purpose do you have for the event? And so really looking forward to doing this. There's 52 of these. We went through 2. But the idea is that some of these cards and questions might resonate differently depending on where you're at in your hike or your climb. And so we just want to help people see a little further and create a vision beyond just themselves. No one is a self-made millionaire. There's a lot of people along the way that help them get there. And we just want to be part of that journey and help people get to the next campsite. So looking forward to it, my man.
Yeah. So. Awesome. Hey, well, thank you for letting me be a part of this journey. I think it's going to be really cool. And I actually hope that we do more of those impromptu things. I think they'll make for...
We will. It wasn't the content and it wasn't the people. It was, we weren't prepared. So the sound quality isn't going to be as good. We got to figure out how to edit some of the cuss words because, you get around a campfire. But yeah, so we'll just need to be a little bit more ready. But the people and the answers and the thought and afterwards was beautiful. It's exactly what we want. And what we did, and if you guys want a deck of cards, you can, we just threw it on the table and people just grabbed a card at a time, and it just led to such great conversation. And now each person had a different card, but some people said, well, here's my card, but I wanted to chime off them. So pretty cool. These are also intended to be meeting agendas. If you don't have a good meeting, maybe you just start with this. So proximity is critical. So if you stop having meetings, when are you going to have time to make connections? So I'm looking forward to it, whether it be you on the trail or Matt or Michael or Mark or anybody else we encounter. We don't have a stage per se on who's going to be there. We want to show up being real and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned with this space. Much more to come.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's pretty good, man.